bystanders is just a huge emerging area in Australia now, isn't it? And it's very effective and very powerful. And so what I guess the goal is that, we do something. So that's going to depend on what's happening, on the circumstances, because, it depends on the relationships between people, whether they will feel safe to say something and call it out if they're seeing something of some kind of poor behaviour. So the goal is to do something. If they feel safe to call it out, call it out. This is not okay. I don't agree with what you're saying. Things like that. You can be saying things to try and stop the behaviour at the time. And if we don't feel safe, then we can always do something, even if it's after the event. We can speak up about it after the event. We can go and speak to the person that's sort of been through who's being affected. Ask them, are you okay? I didn't really agree with what happened. Can I support you? Things like that. We can also do I guess we try to keep it very practical when we talk about bystanders, and even little tactics like distracting at the time. So we might not feel confident, say we're in a situation where someone's kicking off in a toolbox talk. Maybe we can say, all right, let's just move on to the next topic, or let's take 5, let's have a circuit breaker, or there's all those terms, isn't there? And so at least what happens is someone's stepping in and doing something, and it stops what's happening at the time. And then it gives everybody time to think about what's happened. And then hopefully we can resolve it a little bit further down the track if we can't stop it fully at the time. So the really big goal is to do something. So even if they're, you might even after the event raise it with a leader, speak with another supervisor, and just, if they weren't in the meeting or if they weren't in, around the incident at the time, you can say, this happened today and I'm a little bit concerned about, both of the people involved, maybe can you check in with them? So then what we've done is we've not just let it go. As I think traditionally in Australia, we've done a lot of letting go. And we see something and it makes us feel uncomfortable, and we don't feel confident because we don't know if we're going to be supported, or, we don't know if we speak up, whether we're going to cop it or be victimised for that. But we have done something, and we've taken that step so that at least we can push it up, and then a leader can step in and have a conversation and, get to the bottom, get curious before they get furious about it, find out what happened and support people. And hopefully, even if they're being clear about what the expectations are, I understand that this is what happened, but that wasn't an appropriate way to speak to someone in a meeting, and we can't have that. So let's work on what the issue was, and then we try to get to the bottom of that, like we spoke about just earlier, and then hopefully we've moved the bar up, we've shifted the bar upwards, because people know it's not okay. It's not going to be okay to keep doing that in the toolbox talks. It doesn't matter what's happening. And I think the really big part of the bystanders piece is making sure that leaders really get it and really understand it from a senior point, because if they don't, and we're empowering people to do that and to speak up, and the leaders aren't on board with that, it can be a bit damaging, because if they're not sort of listening and they're not taking action, then your bystanders won't feel supported. So first step is really getting your leaders on board, and then really sort of educating, everybody else, the employee level, so that, they know that if they speak up, that they can do that confidently, and that they will be supported, and that it will be stopped. So, a few parts to that, but again, we try to keep it pretty practical. So